He's not quite in the form he was last season. Excellent player in a good team who's set up for him to get the goals. Will those goals be split? They play a front two. It is the most open Championship Golden Boot race in years, with no less than 10 players tied at the top of the goal scorers charts on 9 goals. With that being the total, it does not look like a Mitrovic-style 43 or a Tony-style 31 goal total is going to be incoming. In fact, this year's Golden Boot winner might be more close to Mate Vidra's modest 21 goal win in 2018 for Derby. We're going to go through all of the runners and riders and some useful stats, so please let me know in the comments who you think will end up top scoring and why. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I will give you my take for the top scorer at the end of the video. Right, who are our 10 men tied on 9 goals? The likelihood is the top scorer could well be in this bunch. We have Ndiaye and McBurnie of Sheffield United, Yates of Blackpool and Sargent of Norwich, Hogan at Birmingham, Flemming at Millwall, and Ben Brereton-Diaz at Blackburn. We've got the current hot hand, Akpom of Borough, Gyokeres at Coventry, and J. Rodriguez of leaders Burnley completes the magnificent 10, all tied up on 9 goals. I suggested the eventual winner might come from that group, but keep an eye on Carlton Morris of Luton, just behind Teemu Pukki of Norwich. He's been there, done it. Even further back, Ross Stewart will be back from injury at Sunderland soon. And Joel Pirro did get 22 last season. Now, you would think it would stand to reason that the best chance for a player to become Golden Boot winner would be them playing for the team that created the most and the best quality opportunities. Let's have a little look at the team XG and see if that points us towards any specific names. 4th in the XG list is Burnley, although I just have a feeling that J. Rodriguez, I think he's going to get a good number, but those goals are going to be shared around, aren't they? Teller, Benson, Zaruri, Goodmanson even coming in, playing off the front. 3rd in the XG numbers at the moment, Norwich. I mean, their fans are not convinced, but the numbers are good. Sargent, he's doing very, very nicely and in the group out front, but he's not playing through the middle, which may hinder his total. Teemu Pukki, still a class act though. 2nd in the XG list, Middlesbrough. Now, we had that big swelling of that number under Chris Wilder. Seems to have kept going, and much of their play and their goal scoring chances do seem to be funneling through one Chuba Akpom right now, and he may well be worth keeping an eye on. The team with the highest XG in the division is Sheffield United. But, and I'm going to say this many times during the video, will those goals be split? They play a front two of Ndiaye and McBurnie, both tied up there on 9 goals in that group of 10. But could we get a situation where they both get a really good total, but maybe a player from a team that plays straight through that one focal point striker might just be able to get ahead of them? We can also have a look at the specific XG per player. So this is the quality of chances that the shots taken by each player have stacked up to. In 4th on that list is J. Rodriguez. That name is not going away, and I don't think Burnley are going to be going away from those top 2 positions. Ollie McBurnie, speaking of another name that's not going away, is 3rd. Joel Pirro, who we did mention, he's not, I think he's got 5 goals, so he's 4 behind. Again, big total last season. We know Swansea make a lot of chances. He's not quite in the form he was last season, but there is evidence if he can step up and become as clinical as he was, that total is going to rise quickly. 1st place, Lyndon Dykes of QPR. Now, I think he's taken 3 penalties, which will swell the total slightly, but Dykes does have the highest XG of any player in the division as an individual. Does that necessarily amount to him putting a really big total? I don't know. Do we trust him to finish off all that chances? Maybe the QPR fans can let us know in the comments. Now, what XG doesn't actually do is measure, in terms of those quality of chances, where the strikers actually put the shots and how accurate their shooting is. In terms of a finishing metric, XG on target actually factors in whether that shot was smashed into the crowd or stuck right into the corners, which can then maybe account for good goalkeeping as opposed for bad finishing. So, in the XG on target figures, we're getting some familiar names here. Jay Rodriguez again in fourth. There is a chance of him winning this, isn't there? Lyndon Dykes, very interestingly, is third. So as much as the last stat would have said he's getting lots of chances and not finishing them very well, maybe this one illustrates the type of chances he's getting and maybe good goalkeeping. I don't know. In second place, and I'm glad this name came up, Viktor Gyokeres. May not be playing for a parachute team at Coventry, may not be playing for one of those teams going for automatic, but really good striker, and Coventry play a lot through him in terms of their goal output. Interesting. Top of that list, Ollie McBurnie, and he's top by quite a distance. I think where he maybe outstrips Iliman and Ndiaye there is when the Blades get lots of men forward, they get the crosses into the box as well. Good in the air as well as on the ground, like Ndiaye is. Sticking with the XG theme, I've had a look to see who has overperformed their XG the most. So, for example, these might be strikers that don't play for teams making tons and tons of chances, but with what they've been given, they've scored plenty of goals, which bodes well for a high total for the season. In third place, Ben Brereton-Diaz and Jerry Yates, interestingly, of Blackpool. They have scored 3.3 more goals than their XG would have predicted they would have. In second place, that man again, Josh Sargent. I wonder if they put him down the middle, would he put a huge total in? They're paying Timu Pukki a big salary, though, to play that position. Front two, maybe, for Norwich? I don't know. But Sargent has scored nearly 4 goals, 3.9, in fact, more than you would imagine he should have. And first in this list, for very obvious reasons, is Zian Flemming of Millwall. Millwall are not known for dominating, controlling games in an attacking sense and having loads of players forward. They're a good, pragmatic side, and Zian Flemming obviously has stuck in a few low XG, long-range bangers. Can he keep it up? It'll be tricky, but he's doing a fine job so far. 4.3 more goals scored than his XG would have predicted. We can also have a look at who is making the most of their minutes on the pitch, and goals per 90 might give us an indication of who's going to go on a run between now and the end of the season. In fourth place, 0.63 goals per 90, Manuel Benson of Burnley. And we've said this as maybe an argument against Jay Rodriguez and the goals being shared out. Well, Benson's one of those players who we think is going to contribute nicely to the Burnley total, but might not be around the 20-goal mark. Here's that name again in third place, Ollie McBurnie, 0.76 goals per game. I'll say no more about him. Slightly ahead of him and really on fire, Chuba Akpom has got the second best goals per 90 in the league, 0.77. And here's an interesting one if you want to make this argument. Best goals per 90 in the Championship, Ched Evans, 0.79. He's also a player in good form, and it looks like Preston have kind of broken the seal now in terms of goal scoring and having that focal point up front. Can he roll back the years to those, God, Sheffield United, wasn't it, back in League One where he was scoring absolutely tons of goals? Not so sure. Finally, what are our good old friends, the bookies, saying? Now remember, this is no more scientific than who people are betting on. People get very emotional about odds. Remember, they are not a probability. They are a liability, and the people who have had the most money bet on them will have the shortest odds in the end. Not necessarily who's most likely, but who's topping those lists. The Sheffield United pair are there in joint third place. That is Ollie McBurnie again and Iliman and Ndiaye. Second favourite would be Timu Pukki of Norwich. Obviously history on his side. I think a 29 and a 25 in his last 2 Championship seasons. Brilliant stuff. The joint lead favourites, though, are Ben Brereton-Diaz of Blackburn and Viktor Gyokeres of Coventry, who again fit that mould of star players in their team, and the team they're not bad teams, Blackburn and Coventry. They're not the best in the league. They'll score plenty of goals, but the majority of those goals will be scored by that focal point striker, which probably explains their presence at the top of those lists. So, my take then, for what it's worth, who do I think is going to be the Championship Golden Boot winner? Well, the stats seem to point at Ollie McBurnie, but as I keep saying, I do just wonder whether him and Ndiaye both end up with 18, 19 or something, and somebody else gets more. Again, similar thing at Burnley. I think Jay Rodriguez is going to be the guy, unless they make a big focal point striker signing in January, which probably don't need to. I think he's going to chip away and get a decent total, but still they'll win plenty of games with Zaruri, Benson, etc. behind them, Teller scoring the goals. Some of those XG numbers are pointing at Lyndon Dykes and Joel Pirro. That would take some kind of uptrend, put it that way, but maybe Neil Critchley new in at QPR is going to play Dykes up in a front two, which might suit him a little bit better. Maybe Swansea will click and stop wasting their chances like they did at the weekend. Three that really interest me then are players who are real focal points at their clubs, where maybe the goals aren't going to be shared around and the team winning is predicated on these guys scoring the goals. That is Akpom of Borough, Gyokeres of Coventry, and Ben Brereton-Diaz of Blackburn. If Middlesbrough continue this winning formula that they've got, which is serving up Akpom the goals at the moment and moving in the right direction under Carrick, maybe it could be him. Coventry, they're good, and the setup completely flows through Gyokeres with the likes of Hamer and O'Hare providing him the chances. And that XG on target figure says that Gyokeres, who, as well as being a good all-rounder, is a good finisher. And then there's Brereton-Diaz, who just continually delivers for Blackburn. Big, powerful player, decent finisher, outperforming his XG. And Blackburn fans aren't going to want to hear this. He may well be playing for a move with that contract. Not even in the final year. They're into the extra years option. And he's going to want to serve up a great total for any suitors who might want to sign him in the summer. And do you want to know the most silly thing? With all of that said, if I had to pick any striker to run through 1v1 in the Championship in the last minute of a game, it would be Teemu Pukki of Norwich, who I think is probably, by my eye test, not by the numbers, the best pure finisher in the division. Right, I need a decision here, so I'm going to do it. I think my two guys are McBurnie and Gyokeres. Very boringly, on average, it's normally a team that wins promotion who provides the Golden Boot winner. You can fight it out in the comments as to who's more likely to win promotion out of Sheffield United and Coventry. I would suggest it's Sheffield United, which points at McBurnie. But if it's not him, I would go with Gyokeres as an excellent player in a good team who's set up for him to get the goals. So that is my take. I've gone for McBurnie with Gyokeres as a fail-safe backup choice there. Who do you think will bring home the Championship Golden Boot? Let me know in the comments. Please, please do me a favour. Let's raise the level of discourse here in the chat on this channel. So please do your best to hit the football fan override switch and try your best to make it a little bit deeper than just going down the tribalist route and automatically picking the main striker from the team you support. Stick with the channel here. Loads of content now the Championship is back. And why not click up here and you can learn a little bit more about one of the contenders, Chuba Akpom at Middlesbrough, and why he and Michael Carrick could be firing the Borough up the table very quickly.